My girl, Tara Garrison, is up next. She's a trainer, nutrition coach, mentors top CEOs, celebrities, and professional athletes across the world. She helps peak performers get to the next level by optimizing their physical and emotional health. She's also the founder of Hire Women Who Rise, an exclusive community for high-performing women in which she guides women on a deep dive journey inside themselves, physically and emotionally. Oh, and not to mention, she's also a mother of four, avid weightlifter, Boston marathoner. Basically, in my eyes, she's Wonder Woman. And I've been in this field for over 10 years. And I will tell you, Tara is one of the best in the industry, hands down. But what makes this woman so amazing is not just what she knows about nutrition, health, and workouts. It's her incredible story, her energy, her spirit. She's got that sparkle in her eye. She's totally on fire for people, for life, for health, for transforming yourself on the inside out on a much deeper level than anyone I've ever met. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Because even though nutrition and exercise are important, there's something much more critical that's under the surface in all of us that most trainers, nutritional coaches, experts really don't ever tap into, which is why I love Tara. She looks at the whole picture. We're talking nutrition, supplements, workouts, plus mind, body, spirit, self-love, energy, connection, all those things. And Tara, when I met you last year, it was instant connection because our passions are the same on so many levels. One being the fascination of emotional traumas and emotional eating and how much that impacts our lives and how it can cause self-sabotage and how it creates a massive block and how it's a critical component when we're faced with breaking through to the next level of our life and our goals and really everything. So Tara, welcome to What We Crave. I can't wait to get into this.
Thanks so much, Erin. Sheesh, that was an amazing intro. I definitely agree. We're very aligned, and I'm super excited to tap into all the spiritual, emotional side of this whole thing because that's where it all is. That's where all the answers are. So let's go.
Let's go, girl. Yeah, and I will warn all of you, when Tara and I get going, it's usually a few hours before we take a breath. So prepare to get the fire hose, people, because you're going to want to put this episode on repeat, guaranteed.
It's just awesomeness. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so start with your personal story because,
Sure.
Again, so many people think, oh, trainers, they have this easy path. They've always been fit and healthy and beautiful and perfect. And, you started from a different place and you discovered your own transformation first, which is what I love about you.
Yeah, the reason this whole thing is so meaningful to me and the reason I'm so obsessed with it is because for me, getting in shape physically was the gateway to awakening for me. So I went from first doing all of the physical health things to hold on a second. Now all of a sudden my brain is optimized. My confidence has gone up. I'm starting to ask a lot of questions, and it led to a major life transformation. And because of that, I got quite obsessed because I thought, how amazing is it that we can choose to make just a series of changes in our lives and we can all of a sudden be living in a completely different reality than we were before. Whoa. That excites me because I see that before I was playing very small in my life, right? Like I was very much a plugged into the matrix product of the system, like do exactly what I should do, what I'm supposed to be, what everyone wants me to be. Like I was very much a goody two shoes, do everything right kind of person. And I, went to college, got my degree, got married, had 4 kids, did everything my church told me to do and just lived this life of now I'm loved. Now I'm good enough, right? Because I do all these things that everybody wants me to do. And I wasn't even conscious enough to even think now I'm good enough. It's like living a life of total lack of awareness, just like going through the motions of doing what I'm supposed to do. And when I got healthy, which started from a place of very low self-esteem, and that's what I want to hit on because I think it will help whoever's listening to this understand the journey that I had to go on emotionally with food and my body and all of it. Because let me back it up real quick. In a nutshell, in my childhood, food was all sorts of crazy. And a lot of us can relate to this. A lot of us had weird stuff with food in our childhoods. For me, we were very, very poor. And so I was the youngest of 5 kids, a single mom, working, going back to school. And a lot of times we didn't have food. Like I know what it's like to open up a fridge and only see condiments and just want to cry because you're hungry. Like I know what that's like. And so when we did have food, it was like, get as much as you can because it's available right now. And I'm the youngest. So that's going to create some weird relationships with food. Also, I was sexually abused most of my childhood. And there were a few times that my abuser, for lack of a better word, I've been through a big healing journey, so I kind of don't even see it that way anymore. But my abuser would like make fun of me for being fat or make like pig noises at me and things like that. So like that also is going to kind of mess up your relationship with food. And this is all totally unaware. Like I didn't even know. I was living that like Reese's Puffs at night, Lucky Charms, McDonald's, Taco Bell life for most of my adult life. Like I was like, oh, I'm eating healthy because I had some vegetables today. Anyway, I got to this place where it hit an all-time low. And I think if anyone's listening to this, if you've gone through a time where you hit like an all-time rock bottom low, that is the greatest gift. That is the best thing that ever happened to you. Don't you dare feel sorry for yourself. Because if you can see the positive in it, if you can see the gift in it and how it changes you, how it gives you an opportunity to look at everything all over again and then choose the life that you want, that is a great, great gift. And so for me, my ex-husband, we were married for 13 years. He gave me permission to speak about this. So after being married for about 12 years, my husband, we had 4 kids together. By the way, never told him about the sexual abuse. Never. Okay. Wow. You're pretty close being married over a decade, having 4 kids together. Like I was never going to tell anybody that. That was going to just die with me because it didn't matter. I was healed from it and it just like kind of didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Totally just total denial of it. Right. And so after 12 years of marriage, he comes to me and tells me, hey, he's bawling, he's breaking down. And he's like, I have been addicted to porn our entire marriage. And at the time I was Mormon, the LDS church, and porn is super prohibited in that religion. Like they talk about it all the time. It's really bad. And so for me, in the level of awareness that I had at that time, it was like, this is life catastrophic. Like you are not a worthy man, basically is where my psyche went. And I went into major victim mode for like 3 days. I remember I walked around in this like, almost like shock. Like I just felt like my entire marriage was this something else than what I thought it was. I thought we were like just so close and so tight, but see, there were all these like underlying things that we weren't talking about. And so when all that came to a head, I took it personally, right? I hadn't read the 4 agreements yet. I hadn't done any personal development work. I didn't have the awareness. And so cognitively, I did what I think a lot of women and men do. And it was like, this is fine. It's all good. I support you. We can get past this. Like cognitively, I was like all over it. And I was even tricking myself thinking, but deep inside, I took it so personally. I thought, I just, after my 4th kid, I couldn't lose weight. I was about 40 pounds overweight. And I was like, oh, it must just be because I'm not attractive enough for him. I was like, oh, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get hotter than all those porn chicks. It was like really a thought that went through my head. I didn't even know what porn chicks looked like. I've seen it now. I'm like, oh, I was fine. But anyway, but at the time I was like, it was this very unhealthy driver. It was like, if I get thin enough and beautiful enough, then I'll be enough. Right. So, and I think this is really fascinating because what I learned through this process was that sometimes we can have really unhealthy motivations that spin and turn and evolve. And if we can go through a healing journey while we're in that process, we can end up on the other side in a beautiful place. And that's what's happened to me. So I did. I got really, really fit. And what was really interesting about that journey was that in order to do that, I had to heal all sorts of messed up relationships with my body, with food, because that unhealthy driver of like probably every woman on the planet has had that, they saw a picture of themselves where they didn't like how they looked, or something happened in the mirror and they're like, my butt's gross, or something happened with a guy, like my kind of, like every woman has had that moment where it's like almost frantic level of like, I gotta fix this, when it's like you get in there and you like just drive yourself into the ground and you're like, I'm gonna do 3 hours of cardio every day, and then no, and then it fades, right? And then it eventually fades and you go back to your old ways. And so that wasn't enough. That unhealthy driver, sure, it was deep in there, but what took me through, what actually got me the progress, the results, was shifting my mindset around food and exercise to a healthy place. And so this was like a very, crazy journey, honestly, to be on. It really was. Like, it was a lot of self-reflection and aha moments and healing. And as I went on the path, I'll share with you guys in a minute some of the keys, because I think you want to know some of the keys of what I had to do, because I had always been overweight most of my life. And I always thought, like, why can't I do it? Like, why can some people, like, do they just have like amazing self-control? I guess I just don't have that kind of self-control. Like, I wish I just had a trainer who could just like live with me 24/7 and not let me eat the M&Ms. Like, why can't I make this last little bit? And it was all mindset.
And you were at that struggling point when you're like, I'm going to get in shape, but you were doing lots of running and cardio, and it almost created inflammation. You hit a plateau in that roadblock.
Right.
Was that one of the major stuck points for you?
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. And I'm excited to share that for women. Basically, in a nutshell, my mom was like a world-class runner. So I grew up as a little kid, like just on the track, but I was always chubby. So I was too afraid to like run competitively, but I loved running. So I would run as a teenager. I would just have my little Discman with my anti-shock capabilities and my Beyonce, and I would run around. I would just run. It was weird. I didn't have any friends that did that. This was in the 90s. Like, it was kind of weird. And I loved it. And then I had, after like each one of my kids, after my fourth, like I was running all the races. I was running full marathons. I was just running and running, and I wasn't losing any weight. In fact, I was starting to gain a little bit, and I was like, this is frustrating. And I felt like I ate well, but it was, very different than what I do now. What happened was I actually just got sick of taking my kids to like the daycare at the gym in the middle of the day and doing like the Zumba classes, because it was all cardio. And this is what women do. Like, we think we have equated exercise with losing weight. And that is the problem. Exercise is not for losing weight. Once we can get that out of our heads, then we can lose weight. But that's a first roadblock that has to be overcome. Exercise is for enhancing your body. That is it. If you become dependent on it for weight loss, you will never get there. So what I was doing was like, cardio classes and then running. So I do my crazy cardio class, run, wasn't working. So I got sick of bringing, it was like the class is at 10 o'clock, drop my kids off, pick them up. But before I knew it, it's like 12:01, and I'm like just getting ready for the day. I was like, this is like eating up my whole life. I can't do this anymore. So I quit that big fancy gym. I joined a $10 gym down the street that only had weights and cardio machines. That's it. No gym classes, no babysitting, none of it. So I started putting my kids to bed at night. I know now as a health optimization coach, it's not ideal to train at night, but I always tell people, do what you got to do. Mm-hmm. If that is the only way it's going to happen, like do it, like you'll get there. Your life will evolve. You can switch to something healthier. So I put my kids to bed at night, and I started to love it and crave it, because I would get in there, I'd have my music, be all ghetto, 30-year-old again, like having fun, jamming to my stuff, having some me time. And I'm like, I'm going to have to learn how to lift weights, because there's nothing else in here. So little by little, I'm watching people. I became a very big people watcher. I'm like, what is that thing? What are these drinks people have that are like blue and orange? Like, what is this world, And little by little, I started to get into it. And I'm telling you, like, women are like, I know for a lot of women and men, if you're not familiar with lifting, it's intimidating to go into the gym, because you're like, there's all these fit, jacked people, and they're like all doing their thing. And you're like, I don't even know like what you do with that stuff. Like, I don't even know how to use this machine. I don't know what it's for. Like, it's very intimidating. And so I had to get over that. And I asked a trainer friend, I'm like, what do you do for your arms? And I wrote down on a piece of notebook paper, arms out to sides, arms out to front, right? And I took that thing with me for 3 months. And that is the only weightlifting exercise that I did, was my very same thing. It was a safety zone for me, And then once I got the grip of that, and I got over the fact that I was the only woman in the gym sometimes, and it's all these jacked bodybuilders, and I'm this overweight mom. I'm like, I don't care. Everybody starts somewhere. I'm doing this thing. And I, get on just Instagram or bodybuilding.com and just start learning, just start watching videos. They're on YouTube. Like, there's so much information. And so I just slowly started learning. After 8 months of doing that consistently, and this is key, this is why we got to talk about eating. After 8 months lifting weights like 6 days a week, every single night, I even like picked up fasted cardio in the morning. I found out that was a thing. So I started doing that in the morning before my kids went to school. Like, I was going nuts. After 8 months of that, I went on a family reunion and I saw a picture of myself and I was like, I don't look any different at all. And that is when I realized, I was like, I've got to change my nutrition game.
Mm-hmm.
So what really helped me was to completely get rid of a restrictive mindset. That alone, the restrictive mindset, if there's anything I can share in this entire interview, the restrictive mindset is what is ruining everything for everyone. That has to go, because it makes sense, right? Like, we're like, I want to lose weight, eat less. But if you stay in that place, it will always come back to bite you in the butt at some point. So I actually had a friend who had like a nutrition blog, and she talked a lot about adding in nutrition. And that was a game changer for me. So I started thinking, how can I eat in order to feed muscle growth? How can I eat in order to get the systems in my body to work right? How many more vegetables can I add into this to bulk this up so I get full, so I'm adding more nutrition, but I'm not eating tons of calories? I didn't track macros. I didn't track calories. And guys, I got down to 11% body fat doing this. That's really low. So I'm telling you, that's too low in my opinion. You can get really lean not tracking all your food. I adopted a low carb, very paleo-ish diet, and combining that with weightlifting and backing way off on the cardio, my body composition started to change like crazy. And all of a sudden I went from overweight mom to people were like, you're the fittest person I've ever seen in my life. It was a crazy thing to live through. And not only that, my running got way faster. I shaved half an hour off my marathon PR that I was stuck at for years and qualified for the Boston Marathon. And it just felt like all my dreams were coming true. And it came through eating a whole food, nutritious, low carb diet and weight training. So ladies, like, if you're trying to lose, do everything you can to build muscle. Don't worry about getting bulky. Fat makes you bulky, okay? Lifting weights is going to give you everything that you want. It's going to enhance your body. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to have more energy. Your food, now you can eat more because it's going to actually go towards something positive in your body, creating muscle. So now we're getting lots of micronutrients. Your metabolism gets better. You can eat more. You look better. It's like all the magic happens when we let go of this crazy cardio conundrum and we start lifting weights, eating to build muscle, eating to nutritionalize our body. And then that's when you'll get what you want. But if you're trying to starve yourself and cardio it off, it's never going to work.
Let's talk about that, the restriction and the starving and and that mindset, because you have seen women and men that are working on these last few pounds, obsessing over how ripped they can be, and they're never quite good enough, and they're not quite perfect, and they're stressing out about their body fat percentage and calories and counting carbs and just stress. And it's so extreme.
Yeah.
And it ends up backfiring. So how what did you see? How does it affect their life and their goals, their weight, everything?
This is when the healing part of the journey really has to come in, right? Because I got to a place where when I got a body composition scan and found out that I was 11% body fat, I had no idea. I thought I still had a way to go. I was still on my like journey up the mountain. And I was like, I'm 11% body fat. Like, that's really low. I had no idea. And because of that, I realized like, I'm 11% body fat and think I still have more to go here. What's up with that?
What's going on?
Right? What's up with that? And so that was when I had to learn that even though I had built a positive relationship with food, and this is what I really like to talk about, is like, there's always duality in everything. Like, right? Like, you can go through a life trauma and also simultaneously be finding a lot of beauty at the same time. It's never black and white. There's always multi-facets to everything that's happening in our life. So while I was building this positive mindset around food, I was really enjoying learning how to lift weights, I still hadn't dealt with all that trauma from my childhood. I still hadn't dealt with like the fact that I didn't feel like enough for my ex-husband. And, even when I got the fittest I had ever been, he was like, this is the least attracted I've ever been to you, because he that wasn't ever the issue, like that was never the issue. And so that was when I realized I had to heal all of that side of things. So this is where phase 2 of my healing journey came. Once I got stronger physically, I just brain optimized, stronger mentally, and I started asking questions, and I ended up leaving my religion. For me, that was definitely the right choice in my life. And once that religion piece fell away, I realized I didn't have to be in my marriage, which had all sorts of broken issues and things that needed to have been addressed like 13 years before. When I got out of all of that, I landed in a nice relationship with like a not a great guy, really not a great guy, very, very manipulative, very much admitted that he was using and manipulating me after the relationship, right? Part of that experience was he did introduce me to plant medicines. So going in these psychedelic experiences actually for me was completely healing. What I feel like plant medicines did for me was they took stuff that I was suppressing and keeping it swept under the rug, and I was fine and I wasn't dealing with it. It was like, here you go, deal with it in a nice loving way. Let's get you to deal with these problems. And so for the first time, I admitted that I had been sexually molested like my entire childhood. That's a good thing to maybe talk about and release as an adult. Like, I dealt with my divorce. I dealt with issues with like the whole body journey and everything that I had been on. And it just really set me on this trajectory of healing, right? And opened me up to new thoughts. I then started doing a lot of personal development after I got out of that relationship, which is totally crazy. I learned that, one, I really learned at a deep level that I was always enough. And my mindset toward my body became such that it was like, okay, this machine that I live in, this beautiful piece of biotechnology is mine, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. Like, we think, oh, these Teslas are so cool. Teslas suck compared to this. Teslas are like clinkers compared to this vehicle that we get to drive around our souls in all day. And so once I started to open my mindset and really start to change how I saw the world, it really affected how I saw my body. And then it became this optimization journey. It was like the wool was pulled off my eyes and I could just see my body for this amazing thing that it was. And that's when, like, sure, like, did I already have the ropes of nutrition and fitness by this time? Yes. But my mindset around it is what was the game changer. So now, like, whenever I put something in my body, this is how I look at it. One, I'm like, my question is, am I helping my body with this thing, or does my body have to deal with it? I believe that our bodies can deal with a lot. There's a lot of people who live off McDonald's and Taco Bell and Hostess cupcakes, and they live 80 years like that, right? Our bodies can deal with a lot. But my mindset is like, I honor you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you take me through every single day. I will support you as much as I can. And when I do eat cake or donuts or pizza that I do have occasionally, because I also believe that this is like part of the enjoyment of life. Like, this is our life experience. I have a very profound sense of YOLO after like going through such a life transformation. And I do think it's important to honor these like delicacies of life. When I travel, I'm going to eat like the things from that island. I'm, you know, if I'm on keto, when I go to Hawaii, I'm going to have dragon fruit. Like, are you kidding me? It's like a gift from nature. It's beautiful, you know, or even pizza or donuts occasionally. I always give myself permission to have those things. I don't have them very often. It's maybe every couple months, because mostly I just really enjoy honoring my body and be like, here you go, body, here you go. I support you. Thank you for taking me through all these races and all this lifting and everything I do with my kids. And thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just gratitude. It's like, here you go. It's like giving a gift to your children.
Plus, you feel amazing after you eat really good food. You feel amazing. You want to keep doing it. Yeah,
definitely. It's a gift of self-love, you know, and but sometimes I will have those other things, and I'm like, thank you, body, for I'm so glad that you're so healthy, that I make these wonderful choices 95% of the time, so that I can have something like that and my body can deal with it just fine.
So do you think that with this obsessing and the restricting mindset, do you think it's because we're not appreciating ourselves? We're missing something on the inside. What do you think that is? Where it's because that's what causes the emotional eating afterwards, right? Like the restriction and the obsessing and the what's going on the inside.
This is what I like to talk to my clients about. It's like, okay, the first step is understanding what the trigger is. Okay, so let's talk about an emotional eating episode, for example, like whatever that is for you. And a lot of people will have their clutch emotional eating go-to, right? The first step in that is finding out what is the trigger that causes you to do that. And I always give them permission. I'm like, listen, you're going to binge again. It's going to happen. The sooner you accept that, the better, right? This whole like, I'm never going to do it again thing is how has that been going for you?
Right.
Not working, right? Okay. So the first step is accepting you're going to do it again, but being the observer. And this is why meditation is so important and has been so life-changing, because you learn to be the observer of your life instead of just in it, right? So you get some perspective and you can say, that's interesting that I'm doing that. Okay. So I'll give you an example. This was after my health journey. I had gotten like super fit. I went through like that crazy guy relationship. I was going through a bankruptcy. I had nowhere to go, no one to stay with. I lost everything. It was super scary. I'm coming out of that. I'm starting to rebuild my life. And I noticed all of a sudden I was driving to the gas station to go get a donut at night, like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, what is going on with me? I don't do that. I'm like way past that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and it happened like 3 times. And on the 3rd time, what I did was I had an out loud conversation with myself in the car. Because I believe that when we don't verbalize it, when we don't speak it, when we don't release it, what we will do is in our head, we will start to process the thought. And when it gets hard, we'll just drop it. Mm-hmm. Right? Because we don't want to deal with it.
Right.
So I was like, what's going on with you? And I made myself answer. There's so much power in that. You can be your own therapist a little bit, because when you have to answer what's going on with you, you got to be real. You got to be honest. And that's where I found the truth. I was like, what is going on with you? And I was like, I'm stressed out because it's 11 o'clock at night and I should be going to sleep, but I'm just sitting down to start writing a new program. And I was like, and I'm driving to the gas station because it's an excusable reason to not sit here and do this stressful thing that I don't know how to do. I'm overwhelmed. This is just a bad idea overall. And I said to myself, you have the choice right now. You are still on your way there. You can change it. What are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to drive home. And I turned around and I drove home. And the reason I want to bring this up is 2 things. One, speaking it, a lot of power, identifying what the trigger was, because then you can call your own BS. It's like the next time it happens, you're like, I know exactly what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing. I don't want to work on this project right now. And that's why all of a sudden the donut sounds really good. For me, it was a procrastination tool. I was using it as a tool. It's like, okay, reason. Cause I just, I work out, I'm good. I just want a donut right now. I was using it as a procrastination tool. So that was really powerful. The other thing was that I'd like to talk about is the Pavlov effect, or classical conditioning, right? So Pavlov, this is really common teaching in psychology. If you take a psychology 101 class, you'll learn about classical conditioning. And basically what happened in this experiment was they had dogs and they would bring the dogs food and the dogs would salivate upon sight of the food, which is normal. We all do that. Well, then they started to ring a bell at the same time that they brought the dogs the food. And so then the dog started to associate this trigger, the bell, with food. And eventually all they had to do was ring a bell and the dogs would begin to salivate. Mm-hmm. And so these triggers that we associate with food, when we continue to choose to make the choice of, I don't want to do my program right now, I'm stressed out, donut. I'm stressed out, donut. I'm stressed out. The more we choose to do it, the more we repeat it, we are conditioning ourselves to have that stress response. And there's so much power in that, because we act like powerless. I don't know what's wrong with me. I emotionally eat. I self-sabotage. My mom told me I was fat when I was little. I have all these issues. You have the power to choose and create your stress response. This is why I'm an advocate of cold showers. Mm-hmm. You haven't done a cold shower, do it. I do it every day. And I do it every day so I can make sure. And I never want to do it ever, every single day. Like right now, do you feel like going in there and taking a cold shower? No, like in the moment, like I never want to do it. But I do it because it has taught me how to control my stress response. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, no, and turn it off and freak out, right. I choose to, that feels really good. And so when we do that with emotional eating, when we can choose our stress response, and you are now, think of it as I am conditioning a new stress response. So what I did that day, and it was excruciating. I wanted that donut so freaking bad. Like I really, even when I got home, I was like, I like really freaking want that. And I went home and I was like, okay, you can have it. You can go back and you can get it. But first, just lay in your bed and do deep diaphragmatic breathing into your belly for 10 minutes. So I set a timer for 10 minutes and I started breathing into my belly. And you know what happened? I fell asleep. And so then every time I wanted the donut, I just started diaphragmatic breathing. I was like, you can have it. You can have donuts. You can have the whole freaking case of donuts if you want to. And I think permission is really important.
Huge.
Huge, right? Because as soon as we start saying like, can't, it becomes this forbidden fruit, and our little inner 5-year-old comes out and is like, yes, I can. It's a side note. I like to say, like, I have a 7-year-old, right? And if I told Micah randomly out of the blue, he's just minding his own business, and I'm like, Micah, you can't have candy. Okay, well, what does he want all of a sudden? Like, I am not a fan of restrictions. Even if you're doing a restriction, you got to positive mindset it somehow, right? Like right now, I'm only eating for February. I'm doing this with a client where I'm only eating unprocessed foods, but it's not, I can't have processed foods. It's, I'm only eating whole foods. Big difference there, right? Like big difference. Cause it's positive. It's, oh, is it a whole food? Oh no, it's not a whole food. Not, oh, I can't have that. I wish I could have that, but it's processed. There's a huge difference. So keep that positive spin. And then realize, like, every single time you choose, you are training in you are conditioning yourself a new stress response. And that is powerful.
So it's such a good tool. Cause I never did that. I was always like, I'm going to go eat now. Thanks. I'm like, I had the worst day ever. I'm going to go eat. Like, Italian family. That's what mom did. It was like, let me make you something yummy, because so it's like, that was a conditioned response for me. And so when I have a stressful whatever, I go right for the food and I black out. Cause do we ever want to look at our pain and Amazon? We want to Amazon Prime our pain, you know,
right,
just
totally
button and like, nope, like just take care. I don't want to address it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to do anything but just comfort. Right. And so
exactly.
That's such a beautiful way where cause you feel like, oh, I can't have it, but now I'm going to go after it. But when you're just, no, I can have it, but like, let's take 5 minutes and really go through what's actually happening. That's huge.
Yeah, that was the process way back when I first started getting fit. Total game changers was one, always give yourself permission. You are a grown adult with a bank account. If you have enough money to be watching us on the internet right now, you have enough money to go buy whatever junk food you want, right? So always give yourself permission. You can have every candy bar in the store. And I would like to blow it out of proportion like that. I'm like, you can go have a dozen cupcakes. Not just one, go have all of them. Go have the whole store of cupcakes. Like, for some reason, that like almost comical thing, it was like, okay, yeah, I really, really can, you know, and don't BS yourself. Maybe sometime you need to go get it. So, you know, like you really are giving yourself permission and you're not just like, you know, saying that, right? Really give yourself the permission. And then I thought, okay, one, that's going to be gone in 5 minutes. How am I going to feel after? Right. So that's the whole concept of giving up what you want most for what you want now. So just run that through your head real quick. Just get that in there. It's like, okay. And sometimes you really truly might be like, I'm actually going to feel okay if I have that. Like, I haven't eaten very much the last few days. I just really want this thing. Like, I'm just, you know, if you're okay with it, go for it. You know, third thing was like, what could I have first? And tapping into hunger. One of the key things for me was identifying actual hunger from emotional hunger was, does chicken, my test was, does chicken and broccoli sound good right now? And if chicken and broccoli sounded amazing, I was hungry, real hungry, you know? But if that was like, ew, no, something else is going on, right? And the key thing is just identifying the trigger. What is going on? What is going on? Because as you can dig into that will reveal so many gifts to you. Another trigger that I found for myself was, you know, going back to my childhood of my sexual abuser, like making pig noises at me and making fun. Well, because of that, like I didn't want people to, or especially guys, I found that when I was coming home from dates after my divorce, sometimes I was eating a ton, right? Like, and I was like, okay, what is going on here? Like, that's not me. I don't do this. Like, what's happening? And so I spoke it out loud. I was like, what is going on? And I was like, I don't want guys to see me eating as much as I want to eat. And so I'm hungry. And so it's causing me to come home and eat a bunch of stuff. And I was like, not cool. I need to heal that. And so I switched it. And it's kind of, I eat a lot. Like it's a lot of output, right? I have a fast metabolism because I built so much muscle. I run a lot. I'm crushing in the gym every day. I eat a lot, and I started to own that, you know, and like, it's a funny thing. Like guys will be like, whoa, dang. I'm like, and I'm like, and I'm fit and I perform like a boss, you know, and it was a really powerful, a very empowering thing for me to be able to own that so I could get rid of that. So again, like it was such a gift because it also led me on this trajectory of like, wow, I have some stuff to heal there that I could then take to my coach and we could work through those sessions. So if you can just identify the trigger of what's causing you to emotionally eat, it will open up a pathway of healing for you. So it's just
100%. And I was actually, on a side note, just thinking of the story when I first met you, how, because you are this, your body is just incredible, that I felt like I had to go drop about 10 pounds to even hang out with you when I first met you.
That makes me so sad.
Right? And I was like, whoa, what is going on, girlfriend? Granted, it's why we're doing the summit, but it's like,
right.
wait a minute. Like, how am I seeing myself? What do I got to work
right.
on? Hold on a minute. And, you know, and again, I have my own story that I'll share later, but if you just do just take a moment and really go into some self-reflection. We
right.
were never trained growing up as kids to go, let's take a look at what's going on, you know? And I think that's such a beautiful point.
I think I want to hit back on what you just talked about, because I really, obviously, like, you're like this amazing, powerful, beautiful woman. And I think that sometimes when we get into it, we're like, I'm very empowered, I'm awesome. We don't want to admit, like, it's beautiful that you admitted that you had that feeling of wanting to lose 10 pounds and you were like, ooh, you know, and it was beautiful that you told me that. And this is what I do with Catherine Dixon, my coach who does the work of Byron Katie. One of the questions is, when is the first time you remember feeling like that?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot there, a lot. That's a very powerful question. And so for me, it was, I remember like standing behind the fridge and I'm getting cheese out. And, you know, I remember the first time I'm like, that's where this started. Okay. And then that will take you on this trajectory of healing. So I think doing some inner child work and finding out, when was the first time you felt that way? The next thing that I have found in working with people is that sometimes we can identify, like, let's say, you know, for women, a lot of problems with emotional eating come from comments from either mom or dad or both about their weight at a young and impressionable age. Right. So it was like some little comment about like, ooh, you might want to watch what you're eating, or do you really need more of that, honey? Or, you know, oh, I'm doing a program, you should do it with me. You know, like maybe you can lose like 10 pounds. That is literally like trauma for a lot of women that will take them into their 50s and beyond of still having that thing. And so what I have found is a lot of times they have identified that, they realize like, oh, my mom told me that. And so then I started hiding eating from her because I didn't want to displease her. And it's led me on this whole emotional eating thing. That's been identified, which is beautiful. But what hasn't been done in a lot of cases is the forgiveness work of being able to see the place that person was coming from when they told you that thing. And so like the reason that's so key is because as you can see them as a human, because I'm like, well, what was your mom's relationship like with her body? Oh, she was always on a diet. Oh, she was like obsessed. Like, what were her parents like? What was that relationship like? Oh yeah, her dad was a drunk and her mom was super mean to her. And like, okay. So as we can get to that place of compassion and forgiveness for people who may have hurt us in our life, and to see them as truly just broken people, broken, wounded people who are doing the best. They think they're doing the right thing. They really think they have no idea. They have no awareness. And you now, as this empowered, conscious, evolved, meditating, beautiful human who is so full of love and compassion and forgiveness, can now forgive them and say, oh my gosh, like she really didn't know what she was doing there. And that can relieve that trauma. It can take that, it can really help heal that trauma, because now you're not taking it personally anymore. You're not like, I wasn't enough for my mom. You're like, oh, my poor mom. Like, that sucks. She struggled with her own body identity, and then she tried to project it on me. You know, like in my family, the Garrison women, very, very heavy lower bodies. Like, not like a little bit, like very, very big legs but like, you know. And I have a genetic mutation for estrogen dominance, right? So I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here. And my dad, because I was always kind of overweight growing up, my dad, I know he didn't mean any harm by this. He just like sometimes like doesn't think about what he's saying. You know, I know he doesn't have ill will, or he just, but he was like, oh yeah, he was talking to his brother and he was introducing me to my uncle that I hardly ever saw. And he's like, this is Sarah. She's going to have those Garrison thunder thighs. Right. And I remember my uncle like reaming my dad, like, how dare you, don't say something like that to a girl her age. I was probably like 13 or 14. And I was like, yeah, Uncle Roy, tell him, you know. But what I realized is that like, I could choose to take that personally. And I do like to joke that I do have thunder thighs because I have really big quads. I was like, my dad was right. But I could choose to take that personally and be like, have all this like inadequacy issues. But I see my dad. I have compassion. I love him almost like with like a godlike love of like, he doesn't know. He's doing the best that he can. He's a imperfect, beautiful person who's just like, he doesn't have that awareness. And I think once we can forgive completely and stay true in our own like divine eternal power and have that like forgiveness for people, we can relieve ourselves from all that traumatic stuff. And it will start to change our self-talk too. Because when we forgive other people, when we can give beautiful, freeing statements, we do the same thing to ourselves, right? So there's a lot of wisdom and being able to see humanity not only in others but in yourself.
Yeah, like even the energy around that is so freeing. You
Right.
can imagine what that's going to do to your physical body energetically, right? Like
Right.
I think it's stronger than your nutrition and your workouts is the emotional weight that we're carrying.
Like your stress about the freaking Twinkies that you ate is way more damaging to your physiology than the Twinkies. But you beating yourself up and hating yourself and then spiraling into some crazy thing afterwards is way more damaging to your physiology. That is the problem. Twinkies had nothing to do with it. And Twinkies are going to go away once you fix the mindset. Because I mean, and then even if they don't, you're not going to care. Like I go to a birthday party. I'm like, I want cake. I don't care. I chose that. And that's a big thing too, is having ownership. Extreme, Jocko Willink talks about extreme ownership as a beautiful concept, but taking extreme ownership and not being a victim to anything, like when we act like victims to someone in our, like I was definitely in that with my like narcissistic, crazy, manipulative relationship. And here's the thing is when you have been, justifiably victimized, like everyone around you is like, oh my God, I can't believe what they did to you. Like, that's horrible. You're a victim. Doesn't matter. Once you stay in that victim mindset, it is robbing you of staying in your power. You have now surrendered. You are now in your mind believing that someone else is more powerful than you, or food is more powerful than you, or your whatever, you're waking up and blah, blah, blah. That's more power. No, it is not. And when we can take extreme ownership, I just talked about this in my higher group the other day. I'm like, we have to own it. We are powerful beings. When you go emotionally eat, own it. You chose that. It's not because your mom, blah, 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 and you're stressed. It's not, no, it's because you chose to do that. In that moment, you chose it, and own it. And then watch for it. Watch how that starts to affect you. Because when you're like, oh, I can't help it. I wasn't prepared for my, I was stuck in an airport for 12 hours yesterday. It was a nightmare. And it's like, it wasn't like some excuse to go drink and eat a bunch of crap. Like I just still choose. I chose beef jerky and some bean salad. You're always choosing, and so once you can get to that place, I think there's a lot of freedom by getting rid of that victim mindset. Like, sure, like something happened and it wasn't good, but when you continue to surrender your power over to that person and act like you were a victim, you will stay in that mindset, which will then cause you to make decisions that are not in your own best self-interest because you think in some way that you were a victim to the circumstances in your life.
What you said was so huge. You said the food is more powerful than I am. To actually say this thing that isn't even alive, that's just what this thing on this plate has more power than I do. That's a thought right there to go, oh my gosh, I am a living human being that is so powerful. And I'm going, oh, this little thing's stronger than me. That makes me go second guess, like, whoa, that's huge.
Right.
Just to put your power back in your own body, right? In your hands.
The reason I went into training was like, I want women to know what it feels like to be strong. Right. And the universe is like, oh, do you now? Well, let's put you through a whole bunch of stuff so you can actually know what you're talking about. So one of the things that I find myself in meditation a lot about is what is going on with the women? What is going on? Like, why are there so many hormone problems and all this emotional eating and like extreme distress? And I'm like, what is going on? And I really believe, I know it sounds like a very simplistic answer, but sometimes there's a lot of wisdom in simplicity. I believe that a lot of the problem with women is that we don't lift weights, that we don't use our bodies, that we don't have that physical strength. Because here's what happens. This is how it all spirals. When we don't have muscle mass, our metabolism is so slow that we then can't eat very much without getting fat. And getting fat is not only hard emotionally as a woman, like it just is. It's
Right.
not only hard emotionally, but it also causes things to start to go wrong in your body physiologically, like hormones, like insulin sensitivity, and all this huge cascade. So what happens is now, okay, because we don't have muscle, our metabolism's slower, we can barely eat. Then we can hardly get in the nutrients that we need. Right. And then we have this whole like a food is, I believe food is medicine, definitely. But when you're only eating 800 calories a day, you're not getting the micronutrients you need to have brain power, to then be able to process all your emotions. You might have like low dopamine. You might have all these kind of issues going on because you cannot get adequate nutrition to have all the functioning systems in your body go well. So if we were living in nature as women, we would be moving more. We would be doing more. We would be using our bodies. We would have to jump. We would have to use our core. We would have to pick up things. We would have to do more manual labor. And I love our lifestyles. I love how we've evolved as humanity. It's awesome that I can talk to you right now. We're in different states. I can Uber eat something here if I want to. Like, I love it. I got my coffee here that I picked up downstairs that came from some other country. I think it's amazing what we have done, how we've evolved humanity.
Yep.
But our bodies are still designed to operate in nature. So we have to learn hacks. We have to learn ways in order to mimic that so we don't get really unhealthy and end up like WALL-E, the movie WALL-E, right? So that's why we have to get in the gym. I thought about this. I'm like, people are like, oh, no. I'm like, no. You have to get in the gym. That is, sure, you like skiing, you like basketball, you like dancing. Are you doing that consistently? Do you do that like 5 days a week? You moving if you're not doing it consistently, it's not enough. Our bodies are designed to move. And if we're not doing that, if we're not exerting some sort of strength, then we can't eat. Then we can't be nutritionalized. Then our emotions start getting whacked. And so I really, truly believe that it all centers in getting strong. That's where it is. That's where it's at for women. Then you can eat. Then you can optimize your brain. Then you can be free. And you feel stronger. You have more energy. Your confidence is up because your body looks amazing. Like, it's like that to me is the core of where it all starts.
That was probably one of the strongest, most powerful statements for women, I think, hands down. And I even noticed when I lift, because now I'm lifting, I used to lift a little bit, but I was more like spin class and, core power yoga with weights, which all those things are great. But when you're talking strength and you're talking all of those things that come with the benefits of strength,
right?
I definitely added in more because I love beach volleyball. I love paddleboarding. I love things in nature, which is healing for me. But when it comes to strength, when I lift, I notice that I don't have cravings the rest of the day. Like, my blood sugar is stable.
Right.
I feel good. I feel strong. I feel confident. And I feel like I can do anything. I'm a badass. Just even after one session, doesn't even have to be like you have to go crazy, but just getting in there, there's something powerful about lifting that you cannot get anywhere else. Your Instagram, which I love, is you have the best videos, the best quotes, and you go into all the benefits, little snippets of, hey, this is why you need to do it.
Yeah, it's the secret sauce. Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to say, I used to hate weightlifting. Okay. Like, hate it because I was this runner. I equated exercise with fat loss. And if I'm wasting my time if I'm not in there sweating and working up a sweat, like, ooh, how many calories did I burn? 350. Right. Ooh, maybe I can get 400.
Right.
And so I didn't like weightlifting. So I was like, oh, I have to wait. Like, I'm not even sweating. Like, this is so dumb. This is pointless. There's a learning curve. I told you I brought a piece of notebook paper with me to the gym. I didn't even know what the exercises were called. I had arms up to the sides, but so it's a learning curve. But once you get there, it's very exciting, and you will watch your body shape change. You will be able to start eating more. You'll have that insulin sensitivity Erin's talking about, where it's like your blood sugar regulation is better because you're now taking up glucose into your muscles. It's amazing and liberating for women. Not only feel awesome, which is the biggest thing, but also look awesome. You got to add some shape to that, right? And it's very empowering. It's like, I can sculpt my body out of clay like a freaking avatar. Like, this is amazing. I can like literally change the way my body looks. Like, that's very empowering. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun if you look at it like that. It's like, wow, I had no idea I was so powerful. I could actually change the shape of my body. People can look on my Instagram, the way my legs used to look. It's like a different person. I had these like big chubby legs. Now they're all sculpted. It's just crazy to me. Yeah. It's so fun. It's so
your
empowering.
Before and afters are so speaks volumes. And too, I'm like, hey, if Jennifer Lopez looks this good at age 50,
right?
Weight training, I'm gonna weight train. Like, look at the people who have these these physiques, and it's the weights, and it doesn't it doesn't make you bulky. It literally is the secret to shaping your body, but also the empowerment, right? Like,
yeah, that's the thing.
yeah.
It changes your mindset completely because you realize like that you can do things harder than you thought you could.
Yes.
You realize that if you're just going through the motions, you're going to get no results. You're going to get no growth. You have to have intention. You have to have focus. And that starts to branch into every other area of your life. You learn to push yourself. You learn that you're stronger than you ever thought you were. So it's the mindset. In the gym now, like I've built all the muscle that I want. Like I don't have any body composition goals. I'm just, now it's the mental benefit that I get in there every day of like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And then I get that dopamine, adrenaline rush that I take into my business for the rest of the day. I'm feeling on top of the world. I'm on fire. Like, I'm like, it's the secret sauce. You have got to get in the gym and move your body and exert some strength, and everything will start to go right for you. It's an antidepressant. It's a stress reliever. It empowers your mindset. It empowers your body. It lets you eat. It is the secret sauce, in my opinion, of being able to now get over all of this. Like, I can't figure it out. Why is nothing working? That's why it's not working. I'm like, I can't shout it from the rooftops enough for women. Like, you've got to get in there and build some sort of muscle mass. Strength is the number one physical key to longevity, right? Relationships are for overall, but from a physical standpoint, strength is the number one key to longevity. If you're that old lady that can't open the jar, like, your body is shutting down. Your nervous system, which is your power system in your body, is not working as well anymore. Get in there and go just carry some weights and walk with them. Do something to increase your grip strength, increase your connection to your body. And it is one of the biggest things that you can do for longevity overall. So I can't speak enough. It changed my life. It changed my mindset. It changed my body. It's made everything so much easier. So I can't share that message enough.
It does trickle into every other aspect in your life that you would never think possible, right? Just Definitely. By what lifting weights can do. It's phenomenal.
It's what made me an entrepreneur. I went from a stay-at-home mom that was going to be in the schools, working in schools until the day that I retired. It's what helped me get the self-belief that I needed, that I could do way more than I ever thought I could. So for women, especially, like, we're just coming into our, like, there's such a shift happening with women right now. Like, we're just coming into this space where we're like, hold on. I think I can do anything.
Absolutely. So after coaching your clients for how many years and they see the real transformation, the weights is a breakthrough point for sure. Definitely. But is there anything else on the internal standpoint where you see like breakthrough?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So have you heard the saying, the 5 people you hang around most are the people you become like, right? We've heard that a lot, right? So the 5 people you're around most, like, you are going to be, that is going to affect your psyche and how you show up in the world. And one thing that I teach my clients is I want you to make the 5 people you hang around most the most high level thinkers in the world. So I want you to just, as much as you possibly can, here's a book list. I want you to be reading one of these books all the time. We're going to start with The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz and Mindset by Carol Dweck. Those 2 books are foundational, in my opinion, about relieving so much unnecessary BS stress from your brain that you don't need to be thinking, self-limiting thoughts that are keeping you in this little small place, and they will just set you on the trajectory, right? And then on top of it, I want you to get on YouTube. It's free. For free. You can change your life for free if you're just hungry enough for it. If you just pursue it. We have so much information. So Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer, Michael Beckwith, Oprah, like all of these beautiful, Will Smith is another one, high level thinkers, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I want you to just start immersing your brain and make the 5 people you hang around most the game changers, the high level people. And the more you can stick that into your brain, you will start to become like them. On the internal side, having a consistent practice too, because you are like them. You are like them, Erin. I left you a message the other day. I'm like, girl, you remind me of Rachel Hollis sometimes. I am like them. All of us are like them, right? Because and so you have to have a consistent practice in which you're going inside to find that. Right. So it's great to take in these thoughts. And then the consistent practice is meditation. And then I recommend almost all my clients to Catherine Dixon, who does the work of Byron Katie, because it will take you on this deep journey inside where you don't have to, or you can't any longer just BS your way through, halfway through processing something like, well, my mom did this to me. No, we're going to dig away. What are all the stories you're telling yourself because of that? What is what does that mean about you? What does that mean about her? What does that mean about, when was the first time you felt like this? So it's doing the internal work and then surrounding yourself with high level thoughts. For me anyway, the combination of that has transformed me into a completely different person. People are like, wow, you're amazing. I'm like, nah, kind of just like a chameleon who has like soaked up a lot of good information and then like really internalized it, you know, like,
Yeah.
and that's,
You did the work. That's what you did. You did.
And I always do. And I'll never stop. Every single morning I'm up at 4:30 doing my work. And sometimes I think, do I really need to do this anymore? And I'm like, yes, you freaking do. You stick with the basics. You stay consistent.
That's why you're a freaking amazing badass coach, because that's who you are, because you live it and you breathe it and it's in your cells. And that's the beautiful thing too, is when it's in your cells, when you're reading those books, you can't shrink back down to your old life. It's only, you're going forward, and you can't, there's nothing that is gonna, it's over. Like, you're not going back to your old life. You
Exactly.
Can't. So looking back on this journey, what is the best advice you could give yourself 10 years ago? It would save you years of searching.
Listen to your gut. Listen quickly. Honoring your gut. That I have learned, the faster I learn to listen to my intuition, the better my life gets. Faster, like exponentially faster. And sometimes it's scary. The life of your dreams is your intuition is guiding you to it. You can choose to listen or not. But the longer you resist it, you can stay in your not so comfortable comfort zone, and you can miss it. You may not ever get it if you never learn to listen to your intuition. And sometimes it's scary. And we have all these reasons, you know, like, it's like, yeah, but my relationship, but it's great because of this and that. And the other intuition's like, move on. And you're like, no, but they're a great person. Move on. And it's like, freak. I have to just tell this person that, like, I don't really know why, but I just feel like I have to move on. And then in hindsight, you're like, oh my gosh, I definitely needed to move on from that. Yep. So sometimes we don't understand, you know, so maybe I have clients that have had over 100-pound weight loss on the ketogenic diet. Do you know how tied you're going to be to a diet when it did that for you? Real tied, but then it stops working, right? Dr. Pompa says everything works until it doesn't, right? So then I get to come in and I'm like, listen, you got high cortisol. You're never eating carbohydrates. You're metabolically flexible now. You're not in the same body you were 120 pounds ago. You're working out a different intensity. This is a new body. You have new needs. We got to change it, right? And she's like, oh, my intuition's been telling me this forever. I'm so scared to do it. And I'm like, I got you. Like, just listen to your gut. And holy cow, like, these are the once the clients who have been intuitively told to do something, but they're scared to do it, and then I give them permission to do it. Those are some of my biggest transformations. So listen to your gut. It's just trying to give you everything that you want.
That's huge. For all the people that, while she was saying that, my hands were in there like,
I love you.
You just nailed that. I got chills so hardcore. Because if you think about it, our brain is wired primarily to protect us from lions and tigers and bears and all the things. And it's just your brain going, oh, that might be a ledge you're jumping off of, or that might be a tiger that's around the corner. So I'm going to try and protect you and keep you safe. And if you can just have that conversation going, hey, I know you're trying to protect me, but my gut is always right. I'm going to listen to my gut. So thank you. I'm going to tell the fear to sit down. Thank you for trying to protect me. And it is so true. Once you listen to the gut, it's like life opens up, and it's
magical journey. Yeah. It's just amazing. All the magic. Yep.
What do you think when we self-sabotage? What do you think when we emotionally eat? What do you think we're really craving?
Ooh. Well, this is an interesting answer and maybe a little bit different than what you were expecting. But I believe I'm a very nerdy neurochemical type. And I believe we are looking for a rise in dopamine. I believe we are looking for something to make us feel better. So yes, there's an emotional component behind all of it. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's somebody said something to you you're not dealing with, but whatever it is. But the bottom line is that I think that your dopamine has lowered, or your serotonin is lower, and you're looking for something to build that back up. And I have a theory, this could be total BS, but I have a theory that part of the reason we get in this like overeating cycle where it's like you know that you're not stomach hungry, but you're head hungry, and it's not you're eating, but you're not getting full, and you just want to go on and on and on. I've been there because I have dopamine receptor issues. This is what has led me on this thought pattern. I believe it's not long enough for you to get, it's not quick enough for you to get that rise where you're now I'm okay in my serotonin and dopamine level. So we're smart. We're intelligent beings. We're like, I feel like crap right now and I want to feel happier. That will get me there real quick. Right? Because we don't emotionally eat broccoli ever. It's not going to give you that fix, right? So having that sugar rise really fast is going to be like, ooh, now I feel a little bit better, but then it causes that emotional spiral. So I actually really think that if we can get our neurotransmitters healthy, which a lot of it, this is stuff I do with like DNA and blood testing and all that with my clients, but I think that if we can get those levels healthy through watching out for genetic weaknesses, eating the right kind of foods all the time, making sure you're eating lots of like protein. I'm a huge fan of protein, especially for women, because it has the building blocks of serotonin and dopamine, right? We want tryptophan and tyrosine. And when we're constantly giving our bodies a supply of those things, then we're not lacking, we're not looking and searching, right? So I think that yes, there is the emotional component, but I do think there's a biochemical component to it also. And so having that awareness and thinking like, okay, has a lot of stuff happened to me today that's causing my stress levels to like skyrocket? Am I not getting enough sleep? Have I not really been eating that great lately? Maybe I've been living off bars and drinks all day because I'm stressed out. Like, have I really gotten the building blocks for neurotransmitters? That I think is one of the big reasons we do that, because we're just intelligent. We're just looking to solve a problem quickly. I think this is why people with emotional issues drink. It's just like, oh, we just want that quick fix. Right. And so I think doing a deep dive on yourself physiologically, finding out if you have any issues with neurotransmitters, which you can do through, you can do through genetic testing. I have something I run with my clients, but if you can find out that you have something like that, then you can start. I take, it's called Crave Curb is the name of the supplement that I take, but I really am just taking it for neurotransmitter health, for healthy dopamine levels. But look what they call it. Crave Curb. It's supposed to help with appetite control because it has the building blocks of serotonin and dopamine in it. So like once we can have healthy neurotransmitter levels by doing yoga, doing meditation, dealing with our traumas and our stress and these stupid stories that are keeping us in stress for no reason, doing all those building blocks, like making sure we're eating the right things, taking supplements if needed, breathing, getting sunlight, vitamin D, like keeping all that, the nourishing chemicals in our body at a healthy level. I really think that is a big player in emotional eating that we're not really looking at. So yes, deal with your traumas, do your yoga, girl, do your breathing, do all that, but on top of it also, like, let's find out if you have any micronutrient needs that we're not looking out for. Are you nourishing yourself? So,
yeah. Nourishment in the physical, mental, emotional, nutritional. It's all about the nourishment. Obviously, we could talk for another 10 hours, but Thank you for all of that. So many women are like, yep, I know that's me. And you gave us such good insight on what we're not looking at. It's going to help so many people. I can't thank you enough. I love you, girl, so much.
I love you. Thank you so much for having me, Erin. We're so aligned, and it's like such a joy to talk to you about all this stuff. And I really hope that this resonates with at least some women out there. It's just like, oh, just honor yourself, girl. Just nurture that body. Just feed yourself, honor it, use it, love it, cherish it, do all the healing and just continue to like get in your power and just feel the power of who you are. Like, women are so powerful, and I can't wait to see them just like burst through this cusp of like, oh, we get it now. Like, we are super, super powerful. It's happening. And so I'm just so honored. Thank you for giving me the chance to share my feelings and my journey and what I've been through, going from a very disempowered, playing small life to really, truly limitless. I really, truly can say that I'm living the life of my dreams. I feel good. I look good. I eat well. I'm so grateful for all of it. And it's all come through the things that I shared today. So thank you for giving me a voice.
Oh,